We've seen the exact same pattern playing out for Bitcoin every single Q4 this bull market, which is a pump into Q4 and then somewhat of a dump before continuation. So this Bitcoin consolidation slash dump is going to be a major trap here on this important support level. So let's talk about exactly that. We will discuss a lot more, like all of the most important Bitcoin charts, where we are in this cycle currently. I will give a big update on my Ethereum trading position because currently Ethereum is also coming down ever so slightly. So let's discuss exactly that. And of course, I will give my outlook on altcoins and the upcoming altcoin season. So from there, guys, make sure to first of all subscribe to the channel and watch and like my latest YouTube videos, and then we can dive into the most important content. Since I think this Bitcoin dump is going to be a huge trap, and I will exactly explain why. We've seen this happening every single Q4 this bull market. There's always somewhat of an impulse wave into Q4, before then a somewhat of a dump lower, and every single time traders will get trapped here before the big move to the upside eventually starts, because that is what I'm still expecting for Q4. I don't think Bitcoin is going to top out at this exact moment. For Bitcoin to initiate the final wave and a new move to the top side, I do want to see a bounce of exactly this major support level. If Bitcoin is going to drop lower, then maybe the bounce is going to get delayed a little bit, but ultimately I do think Bitcoin is going to find support here and eventually we will be heading higher. So I do think this dump is going to be a major trap for Bitcoin. A lot of people are now starting to call for the cycle top, and we have been discussing this, but actually Bitcoin never topped out in the October month, and with still the majority of Q4 ahead of us for Bitcoin, I do think there's still more topside in the tank. I must say, once Bitcoin is going to initiate that next wave, in that phase I will get a little bit more cautious and we are going to potentially look for a Bitcoin cycle top, because that would make a lot of sense regarding the seasonality. I do think now most of the liquidity is stacking up at the 140k levels. So I think the bears are at that level looking for a potential Bitcoin cycle top. So let's see about exactly that. But I would not be surprised if Bitcoin is going to initiate the next move towards that 140k level to maybe liquidate the last traders this cycle at exactly those levels on the liquidation heat map. The Bitcoin weekly returns, but also the Bitcoin monthly returns do show us that there's still a lot of potential left for October and November, most definitely. I do think in November or December Bitcoin could be topping out, but for October, for example, we've now seen a 7% move up, but the average for October is 20% and the average for November is even 46%. So for me, for Bitcoin to top out at exactly this moment, I don't think that is going to be realistic. I do still think, yes, there's more upside left and we will be catching that final wave also with our Ethereum trade, but I will discuss that somewhat later in this update video, of course. Bitcoin doubled bottom pattern basically perfectly playing out, now coming back a little bit, but I do think we could still see some impulse back to the top side here for that double bottom pattern to exactly be playing out like we have been predicting on the channel. Bitcoin still above the most important weekly close here. This candle closed above the 119k level, which was going to be super important. So potentially worst case scenario, Bitcoin could see a retest of exactly that support, but from there I do think Bitcoin is going to be bouncing back higher. I would be surprised if Bitcoin is going to drop much lower from there. If so, of course, we do have to stay and maybe get a little bit more cautious, because this is indeed somewhat of a do or die support level for Bitcoin, and of course it corresponds with exactly this support box here. This is going to be super important for Bitcoin in the next few days and weeks here. Bitcoin on the daily, of course, breaking out of the bull flag, which is a bullish continuation pattern, and this breakout does not seem like it's over yet. I do think there is more left. Bitcoin still primed to make another higher high in this ascending channel also, with the lows, the highs, the lower highs, and since then the higher highs. I do still think there's one higher high left for Bitcoin here in the ascending channel to make, and that could also correspond with a potential cycle top. So let's see how that will be playing out, but I do still think that higher high is going to be possible for Bitcoin to make in the near future. Bitcoin ETFs, so basically the institutional money, has been buying once again. We are seeing new inflows, and as long as that is going to continue, I think Bitcoin will see more upside in the near future. Yesterday we saw the FOMC minutes highlights coming out with not too much new stuff, but basically most officials say it's appropriate to ease policy further this year. That's going to be bullish, but there were also some officials that would have been supporting keeping rates on hold in September, so the Fed is still a little bit mixed, and that is something we did know. Basically nothing new about the Fed minutes, so it also did not affect the markets that much. I personally think something which is affecting the markets by a lot and which is very bullish in my opinion is that the Israel and Hamas war seems to be over. A peace deal is now in place by President Trump, so of course that is going to be very bullish news for the markets, because some geopolitical stability is of course always going to be very bullish for the markets. So yes, very good news coming out, and let's see how this will continue, how this will develop itself over the next few days here. Of course, I will keep you guys up to date. For ETH, we have now a break back below the 50 daily moving average. I have been adding a little bit to my Ethereum trade at that level, but now we are falling back again. What does this mean for ETH? It means we are back in my buy the dip zone. So this is potentially going to be a zone where you can start opening an Ethereum trade, or probably a lot of trades on different altcoin pairs. If you do want to do so, make sure to check out LBANK for that. I'm currently trading on LBANK with my Ethereum trade, which is now a position size of 18.5k. And I'm still looking to slowly DCA in there, so I'm going to wait a little bit now, because yesterday I did already increase my position. I'm now back at a $600 profit, up from a 2k profit. So yes, it is coming back down a little bit, but ultimately I think if you keep accumulating in this buy the dip zone, eventually our patience is going to get rewarded in Q4. Because for now, for me, it makes a lot of sense for Bitcoin to take the spotlights a little bit in Q4 first, and then eventually money is going to rotate back into ETH, and then our trades are going to profit from exactly that, I personally think. And I must say we saw exactly the same happening here for Ethereum in this June-May consolidation phase, where we also saw a drop below the 50-day link, a few fake outs before eventually heading higher. And if this is going to confirm as a fake out for ETH, yes, it is probably going to be one of our last chances to accumulate cheaply before that final wave here. So getting very excited about that. If you do want to join me on this Ethereum trade, for example, or just want to trade a lot of other different altcoin pairs on LBANK, make sure to check out the link in the description on this update video, because there you can claim some insane bonuses on LBANK. Because now we have a new campaign for you guys where you can just register and then claim a $200 reward on their new LB meme platform. So make sure to check it out. You can claim a $200 reward just by signing up here. So make sure to check it out, read all the details for yourself of this offer, but I do think it's once again a very nice opportunity given to you by LBANK and of course me myself. So yeah, make sure to check it out if you're getting interested in that. Of course, in no way financial advice. Now let's dive back into the Ethereum chart itself, because Ethereum is now breaking back below this support level, which is definitely not something I did want to see, but ultimately we have seen something similar happen in the consolidation phase before, which I was also talking about and pointing on here on this other chart. So I don't think this is going to be too many reasons to panic very aggressively on ETH, but what I do think you don't want to see much more downside here, because yeah, then it might get invalidated a little bit. But for now it still seems like Ethereum is just consolidating, and eventually in Q4 we are going to see a final wave and a big push higher, and that is still what I'm betting on with my Ethereum trade also. So yeah, I do think there's not that much reason to panic a lot about Ethereum here. And I have been updating about my Ethereum top targets, for example, and this bull flag forming on the Ethereum chart now in my private Telegram group. You can join this group with the link in the description on this update video here to the VIP Telegram group. And now I also have my own channel, so you can read all of my updates. I will be doing some exclusive updates in the channel only, which I will be sharing only later on X and YouTube, and I will always post it first in this group, so make sure to check it out if you're getting interested in that. For example, I just dropped a very long message on my potential Ethereum top targets. If you're interested in that, yeah, make sure to check it out. And same can be said for this Ethereum bull flag, which I do think is going to be a very bullish continuation pattern here to potentially move to new all-time highs for ETH, also corresponding with this Ethereum final wave to my top target. So yeah, make sure to check it out here with the link in the description if you're getting interested in that and do want to join the group. And now I do want to discuss a little bit of altcoins and my outlook on the Bitcoin dominance and the altcoin season basically. Because for the Bitcoin dominance, indeed, in the September and October months, once again, we are moving up on the Bitcoin dominance, and that was something to be expected. We have been saying this for the last few weeks here, and indeed the Bitcoin dominance stays moving up slowly here. I do think this could continue a little bit before Ethereum is going to take the spotlights once again, and then altcoins will take the spotlights. I do think that is about to happen, so now for ETH and altcoins to see somewhat of a correction or maybe just lagging behind Bitcoin, I think that is going to be very normal for this stage of the market. So keep that in mind. I do think Bitcoin should be taking the spotlights here, just like we saw an example in 2021 where the Bitcoin dominance also came down aggressively. Then Bitcoin took the spotlights again, and then eventually the true altcoin season started. I don't think we will see such a Bitcoin dominance move up like we saw in 2020 here, but what I do think it could continue for a little bit, and then eventually we start heading lower to the range lows for the Bitcoin dominance, and in that phase we will also see a short window of altcoins outperformance, aka somewhat of an altcoin season. So in my opinion, that still looks very good. The smaller altcoins do tend to start moving in the November month, so not in October yet. Usually the smaller cap altcoins start to move in November during the last Q4s. So I do think that is going to happen once again, and for the October month it would make sense for me for some altcoins to stay lagging behind Bitcoin and Ethereum a little bit. We are definitely not in altcoin season yet. The altcoin season index is now also coming down because Bitcoin is taking somewhat of the spotlight, exactly like we have been predicting. But on the monthly here, we are definitely also not close to an altcoin season yet. And same can be said for the yearly. The yearly perspective is going to be the most important one here because it shows you the big trend. And there you can see that it's still a great moment to accumulate altcoins because we are not close to the 2021 and the 2017 altcoin season highs yet. So this is going to be still a very nice opportunity before we are heading to those levels later this year. And guys, that was it for today's update video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's update video, and I will see you guys within my next update video tomorrow.